Mike?
Yeah. So, and I guess I would ask the question, out of your reading, having read and reread over time, the accounts of creation, in your own words, what revelation have you gotten out of this, Genesis chapter 1, just in your own readings?
Just for me personally, I had a general knowledge of reading up on it and kind of studying it even from a distance, but just never in depth the way we are now, is the whole procedure, how day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, I had a general, so the more we get into it, which we just covered in chapter 1, where he gave Adam the ability to name all of the animals and everything, and me and my wife were reading on past that to, like, we was focused on day 2, where we thought we was going into.
Good.
And it was more questions in that than it was for me in the initial part.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Good. That's where we're going. We're going into day 2
okay,
today.
okay.
Special request.
Okay.
Since I'm doing the same study, can the kids sit in on this part?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm
that's
mine
right.
over here.
That's right.
You know, the grand boys and stuff on the film white too.
No.
Because they had some interesting questions.
Uh-huh.
Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah, you climb over
You can sit over here. Actually, there's room for.
Let's see what kind of face we're going to give him. Green, or green smile, or Jane, what other colors are there for the faces on your paper? Green. What else? Yellow. Is the yellow a frown, a sad face?
Sit on the floor.
Oh, a straight face. Okay. Well, what's the sad face? What color? Red, okay.
So y'all are responsible for all those questions that your daddy emailed us about.
I'm just orange.
Yeah, we were talking about God and creation in the book of Genesis. So did you have some questions you wanted to ask?
Don't get shy now.
Yeah, your dad sent us the questions you asked him. They were
Anybody
really
have any
good
questions?
too.
No?
You are very, very funny.
Yeah, some of the questions I had to think about a couple of times.
Yeah.
Man.
Do you remember what questions you asked? You
About
don't?
God.
Well, your
About
dad
that?
refresh, I remember.
Yeah, I remember.
One of them was,
If God let the snakes talk then, how come they don't still talk now?
Oh, I remember.
good question.
Well, good question.
Very good.
Sit down, sit down.
I remember one.
You remember one too? What was yours?
Why did the snake get punished? Because the snake didn't do anything.
Right.
What was it?
Why did the snake get punished if he didn't do anything?
Why did he get punished?
Mm-hmm.
And it
Okay.
legs.
If he
She
didn't
felt
do
like
it,
If he didn't do anything.
She felt like he did.
Devil was
Okay.
doing
you have to take her
And did
back.
he have legs?
Okay, that's good. That's Genesis chapter 3.
Oh, we were
Just let him hold on because we're going there.
Okay.
For right now, we're just in the part about the creation. And the snake was part of creation, right? And in the first chapter of Genesis, we find, and the second chapter, we find that everything God had created was what? Good. It was good. So, punishment is the result of what?
Bad.
The opposite of being good, right? So there's some kind of punishment for that. So, if God created everything good, then where does bad come from?
Who is it?
Devil.
The devil. Okay.
Very
That's right.
good.
Okay.
Good job, Christopher.
Now, was he always like that?
No.
How do you know?
Daddy.
What did Daddy say he was before?
Angel.
That's right.
It was an angel. An angel. And he was the leader of all the angels. He was responsible. And God had created him perfect. So, what happened to him?
He got jealous of God.
Whoa! He got jealous of God. What was he jealous about?
About how could he, because he wanted to be worshipped too.
He wanted to be worshipped too.
Mm-hmm.
Your daddy's pretty
Good.
smart, man.
Very good. So, what did he decide to do?
To be bad.
To be bad. Okay. So bad starts where?
Good devil. No. Good devil.
So bad starts on the inside, right? He wanted to be worshipped too, right? So that's a desire. And desires start on the inside. So he began to have thoughts and feelings. And then he made a decision to act on what was going on the inside. Okay? That's what happened. I won't put him on the spot. They put Christopher on the spot, but I'm not going to do that. That's why I was asking about the faces there. So, we see that, well, what about God himself?
He's good.
He's good. Is he ever bad? Never ever bad? Okay. So that means he's good and his thoughts about us are what?
Good.
Good. Very good. Where did God come from? Heaven?
Very good.
Okay. Where did heaven come from?
The sky.
The sky? Is the sky and heaven like the same thing?
No.
No. So, what were you going to say, Jane? Okay.
Learn the shoulder shrug.
So, if God, we say, where did the sky come from?
God.
Okay. Can anybody quote Genesis chapter 1, verse 1? In the beginning.
He created the sky.
All right. And sky and heaven are, that's good. I heard that. Earth. Heaven and earth. So they were created by God. Why did he do that?
So he could live there?
So what?
So he could live there?
So we could live there?
No, so he could live
So
in
he could live
no,
there?
he could live in earth.
Okay. Where was he living before that?
In heaven.
Well, if he created
In
heaven.
space.
In space?
On the sun.
Okay. It's kind of hard to answer, isn't it? I'm stumped too. How to put it to the kids. Okay. Can you see God? Okay. Do you think he's tall, short,
Big.
fat, skinny, big? You said big.
Giant. Giant.
Okay. How big would you say he is?
Skinny.
That big?
I think he's a little dot because he doesn't scare. Skinny.
Say that again.
I think because he's scared.
Okay. So spirit. God is a spirit, right? He is spirit. And so, spirit really doesn't have size. Okay?
So he's nothing? He's air.
Well, some people think that way.
Let me, you said so he's nothing because he's small. All the grown-ups are big people, right? And kids are small people, right? But we would never ever dare say that you guys are nothing because you're small. So it wouldn't be this, wouldn't be fair to say that, God is nothing because, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, that's good. And what Les just pointed out. So if adults are big and children are small, then God must be big and small at the same time. Because we came from him, right? So, being spirit, God is everywhere. And when there was nothing, he was all. He was all. By himself, he was all there was, all there is. So when he...
Other planets? Did he create other planets in the solar system?
Yes, he did.
Yes, when he created the heavens, the very first verse. So when he created the heavens, he created the stars, the moon, the sun, the other planets, and other solar systems. All that was part of creating the heavens.
So he created the whole universe?
The whole universe.
The size of big.
The whole universe.
He has
And that's
good
another...
He has good taste.
He has good taste. Amen.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
I like green and like.
What you got, Chris?
I forgot.
You forgot? I'm sorry. But yes, he created this beautiful, beautiful universe. I was telling Dottie last night, I went outside and the sky was so clear at night and the moon was absolutely beautiful last night. Just beautiful. You go, wow, what a mighty God, what a mighty God.
Can you see heaven?
Can you see heaven? Well, some of it. What we see right now is part of heaven. Then beyond this light, there is outer space, which is dark. And then there is beyond that, which we can't see right now. But one day we will see. And,
But we're dead?
no, we won't be dead. You can't be dead and see.
That's right.
So,
Never talk about that.
we'll talk about that too. What dead really is. Okay? So, in the beginning, this was like a new beginning. Nothing existed before God, but God existed before everything. Heaven. And so, without him, there was nothing. And because of him, we now have everything. Then, we said something happened. In Genesis, we don't read about the creation of angels, though. We just read about the creation of heaven, of earth, of birds and fish, different kinds of animals, and male and females.
So he was all alone in heaven? With just clouds?
No
No
clouds.
clouds. Mommy has fish. So he was all alone in heaven?
Well, all alone. Me, myself, and I.
Right.
Me, myself, and I. So now, we have to read in other parts of the Bible about the creation of angels. So in another place, the book of Job, we're told that when God created the heavens, he also created the angels who lived there. And then when he created the earth, the angels who lived in heaven saw God creating the earth, and it says they began to sing and shout and rejoice at the work that God was doing when he created the earth. The angels sang. So that's what's important about reading the Bible, the whole Bible, for you find things in different places. You go, oh, that answers my question, but it's way over there. And so that's why we read it from what? Cover to cover, front to back. Okay? And we ask each other questions, we ask God questions, and He teaches us. So now, whose image are you created in?
God. A body? God.
How do you know that? He said, God's image. How do you know that?
Because He created us.
He created us, okay? But He could have created us in the image of a giraffe or the image of an elephant, since they were all created before us. But He created us in whose image?
Human.
Hmm?
Human.
In His image. Now, you think God looks like us?
No.
So what does it mean to be created in His image and likeness?
Because inside of us, we're a spirit too, but we have bodies.
Whoa!
Good answer.
Oh.
Good answer.
Whoa! We'll put you on TV.
Oh.
Yeah.
She is. She just doesn't know.
All right.
I commend
What were you going to
Daddy.
say?
That's all because of your shoes.
Well, let's talk about what she just said.
Okay.
We have bodies, but we have spirits. What does that mean, Vanessa, when we have spirits and have bodies, and what she was talking about, our image of God? What would you say?
Well,
That's a good question.
say it again. I'm trying to put it together.
The question he asked is how did they know that we are in God's image? And she said, because we're spirit, we're spirit, but we have bodies. And she was just touching on the beginning of the explanation of what I'm kind of looking for there.
Oh, okay. Being created in His image.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the scripture, if I'm not mistaken, continues in His likeness too. Right?
Mm-hmm.
as in His likeness.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with when you think of image, you think of reflection. So we reflect who He is, whether that be an appearance or actions, behavior,
Exactly.
and desires, and just the way we do things. And I know in weeks before we talked about just the conscious and thinking and how we think and everything. It's kind of reflecting in God's image versus animals who they just do what they do by instinct,
Right,
and
right.
not that they process and think about it, but they're gonna do what they do anyway. So we actually have an intellect, and so I think that reflects God.
So in our actions, when we're spirit and we're led by the Spirit, which the Bible talks about, we tend to do things the Spirit wants to do, which is just the same way God does things. So when we make good decisions, when we do good, that's the Spirit that's inside of us that is leading us. But the body part sometimes does what the body wants to do. And it's not always good.
I was looking at Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, and it says, when God had finished creating everything, He looked at it and saw that it was
Good.
very good. You said He had good taste. So it's kind of like, not bad if I must say so myself. So it was very good. Now in the next chapter, it gives us a summary, but it includes something that wasn't mentioned before. So after He created the earth and created man and woman and all the animals, He put the man and the woman in a garden. he had made. Let's look at that and let your brothers and sisters see that picture.
Which one's Adam?
Take a look, see.
The one that looks like a man.
But now if you look at Genesis chapter 2, and getting down to verse 17, up pops a word. That is just the opposite of good.
And that word would be evil.
Evil. It's 120,
That spells
17.
life backwards.
Hmm.
That spells life backwards.
How did you know that? You thought about
She
it?
has knowledge.
Can't claim daddy for that one.
Since the devil is evil, is that why his name is the devil and part of his name is evil?
Well, that's good. Yes. The evil. The evil. The evil. Yeah. So there is a tree where evil is associated with. But we had just read that everything God created was very good. Now we see this tree that is good and evil. How can it be both?
Is it good and evil because if you die from it, you go to heaven where it's good, but it would sort of be bad because you died.
Okay, we think about that.
Anybody else?
I think it's because it's the tree of knowledge.
Okay, tree of knowledge. Knowledge about what?
Your body.
Okay.
I think it will make you like God.
Okay. Did I see one of the boys raise a hand?
Eddie did. Eddie, we like to hear yours.
David convoluted the question for me now.
If everything that God created was good, how was this particular tree good and evil?
Can good and evil be good? This guy said it was very good.
Right, he said it was very good, right. What's that thing that y'all have in school? A right to pass?
Well, I'm gonna put myself out there to set up myself for failure. Then Ron can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking if he created this with the command not to touch it, everything he created was good. As long as they stayed away from that tree, things was absolutely, it was great. It was perfect. It was very good. But the minute we decide or are influenced to do something that he tells us not to, then it became. Adam and everything was in that garden was good, but he told him to stay away from that one. It became evil when we just stepped outside of his will and did our own thing. I don't know.
Okay.
If someone touched that tree, is that why some things are bad now?
Yeah, not touching it, but eating that fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We're going to learn that in a minute.
Well, I was just thinking now, I guess I never really thought of it this way before, but if Satan or the Lucifer was already thrown out of heaven and already become jealous and already been dismissed, evil already existed, for him to even come and
Mhm.
have part in this tree. So, and then the tree itself is the tree of knowledge about what good and evil.
Exactly.
So then the tree gave the knowledge of that. So maybe even just tasting of the tree, we even give that background of now you know how to discern between good and evil. So it's the knowledge of good and evil. But again, with that background, everything is good and pleasing and
Exactly.
wonderful. They don't even know that this exists.
Exactly.
Then
Right.
you don't necessarily know how to take that power and use it. Like God knows there's good and evil, but He's God.
Okay.
Now you know that there's good and evil, and it just blows, it blows our mind. And we
Exactly.
don't know how to control that knowledge. So I think that might be why God said it's just better for you to stay away from that than,
Right.
than to touch it at all.
Right.
So, and then the other thing, I think it might just be our minds are finite and we can never think of what God thinks of. A lot of things seem to be relative, like, well, how do you know if something's good if it's not bad to compare it to? It's like, oh, this is great. Well,
All right.
this tastes good. Well, it's because that tasted bad. you know?
Right.
Or, so good is always put against evil, and the best good is as good as it is because something else is way worse than what that is. So, can good exist, absolutely without evil? I don't know, but as far as humans and how we compare things, no, the rich are only rich because somebody's poor, and when you come to that, otherwise, it's the reference point. I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
I think God put it there to set himself apart from us. Like you said, it's a good and evil tree, but he knew it was good and evil. We didn't know that it was good and evil. I'm thinking he put the tree there telling them not to touch it, to say that I'm in charge, I'm God, don't do what I say, and just don't touch the tree. And when Adam did touch the tree, when Eve of the fruit, he said, now you have become like one of us. As before, you were just,
Great. Okay.
right. Before, he made it so we just knew evil. I mean, good. We
Good,
just
that's
knew
all.
only about good.
Right.
But because we want to go and do the opposite of what he said, now we know evil and good, and now we have to pay the price for knowing both. Where he was trying to protect us because he loved us so much, and just saying, just be of good things. But
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
hello.
hey, what's up, Frank?
Let me get you a chair.
It's Joe Cool.
We
Hey
want to
there.
sit. You want to sit here?
That's good.
Okay, go ahead.
And Vanessa. And that's one of the beauties because everybody's bringing out a portion of the truth.
Thank you. That was my thing.
Oh, okay.
He got the box.
Ah, all right.
Sit. Call him back.
Okay. Okay. So now where we're at, Freddie, is about this the tree in Genesis chapter 2.
Freddie, can you have my pencil pen right there? Thank you. Oh, where's my paper?
Genesis 2:17.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, Genesis 2:17. First we looked at chapter 1, verse 31. When God had finished creating everything, he looked at it and said it was very, very, very good. Then in Genesis 2, there's this one tree out of all the trees that comes up and it said it's good and evil. So can something good and evil be very good? Since God created it. And God is good, everything he did was good. So we were hashing that around. Vanessa brought up that there are depths of knowledge that we aren't equipped to handle. Deuteronomy 29:29 verifies that. The secret things belong unto God, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children. Okay? So there are depths of knowledge that are not for us at this time. There is a promise we have that there's going to come a time when the knowledge we now have is going to pass away. But we will be filled with full knowledge, and then shall we know, even as we are known. But also something else about this is that the eating of it would bring death. The result would be death. And that death was actually twofold. It was instantaneous and it was progressive. That deterioration began to set in and go to work in their mortal bodies. The gradual process of death. When we read Psalm 139, I think it was last week, about God forming our members in the womb and so forth. But immediately, once that body is formed, the death process is set in. Okay? So we come out of the womb and we are, as our first lesson was, from the womb to the tomb. We leave the womb, headed for a tomb. So there was something else. Now, another key on this is everything God said you may do what? Freely eat. That would represent then grace. God's riches at Christ's expense. All this is free. Grace, grace, grace. Then this tree then would represent law. So Emma had brought up that God is saying, Adam, yeah, I put you in authority, but I also want you to know you're under authority. Okay? That I like to describe it this way. There is ultimate authority, God himself. There's appointed authority, man, and there's delegated authority. Okay? And we do that in the family. Okay? And the family structure is that way. But let's take a look at Romans chapter 7 about law. Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7. Richard, would you read verses 1 through 5?
Okay. Should I find it? What is it there?
It's after Acts.
New Testament. Right after Acts.
Past the Gospels, then you got Acts.
I'm gonna get a Bible for the children.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, so,
Yeah, chapter 7, verses 1 through 5.
okay. Do you not know, brothers, for I am speaking to men who know the law, that the law has authority over a man only as long as he lives. For example, by law, a married woman is bound to her husband as long as he is alive. But if her husband dies, she is released from the law of marriage. So then, if she marries another man while her husband is still alive, she is called an adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is released from the law and is not an adulteress, even though she marries another man. So, my brothers, you also died to the law through the body of Christ, that you might belong to another, to him who was raised from the dead, in order that we might bear fruit to God. For when we were controlled by the sinful nature, the sinful passions arose by the law, were at work in our bodies, so that we bore fruit for death.
Here's one for the girls.
Amen. So these sinful passions by the law. I don't know the chapter and verse where this can be found right now, but the scripture teaches us where there is no law, there can be no transgression. Okay. It's like, for instance,
For the girls.
Abraham and Sarah
This is for you too.
and their marriage. And they were actually close relatives, but there hadn't been any law about that yet. So there was no transgression in that area. I mean, you can't get any closer in relationship one to another than Adam and Eve. So if she came out of him, in essence, he married his own daughter. But there was no law. Okay, so no transgression. Then as they multiplied in number and grew, God came up with the law about marrying brothers and sisters and first cousins and things like that. Okay. So now in this Romans chapter 7, we're going to find out that not only can we not know what sin is aside from law, but when law comes, it also stirs up sin. So it's kind of like, as a kid, what you're told not to do, you become curious about. You want to experiment with it, to find out is what I was told true. That's sin nature. Now it's being stirred up, as we use the analogy. Don't touch that, it's hot. Okay. So now in Romans 7, we go on, it says, verse 7 of chapter 7.